Before this story begins, take a moment. If you believe stories can heal wounds you never talk about. If you've ever felt loneliness echo through empty rooms. If you've ever wondered whether love truly disappears, or simply changes form, then subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay with me until the very end. Because this story isn't just about grief. It's about what happens after loss. And what sometimes comes back when we least expect it. Now, let me tell you a story. Silence had a way of settling into the house like dust. It clung to the walls, seeped into the furniture, wrapped itself around the bookshelves and picture frames as if it had always belonged there. It wasn't the peaceful kind of silence. It was heavy, dense, the kind that pressed against the chest and made breathing feel intentional. There were moments, small, fleeting moments, when Olivia could have sworn she still heard him. The faint rhythm of footsteps down the hallway. The gentle hum of an old melody he used to sing without realizing it. The quiet creak of the dining chair as someone pulled it back from the table. For a split second, her heart would lift. Then reality would return. Noah had been gone for 2 years. 2 years since the accident. 2 years since the phone call that split her life cleanly in half. 2 years since the world had continued moving forward while she remained suspended in the exact moment everything stopped. Outside, seasons changed. Cars passed. Neighbors laughed. Life continued. But inside this house, their house, time had frozen. Olivia stood in the living room, staring at the same wall she had stared at countless times before. She had always considered herself strong, resilient, the kind of woman who bent but never broke. But grief didn't arrive loudly. It eroded her quietly. What once felt like resilience now felt like a fragile shell, thin, cracked, and constantly threatening to collapse under the weight of solitude. She told herself the same lie every morning. I'll be fine. It will get easier. I just need time. But time had done nothing except make the absence more noticeable. The ache in her chest never left. It followed her from room to room like a shadow she couldn't outrun. Therapy helped. Or at least that's what she told her therapist. But when the sessions ended and she returned home, the silence returned too, persistent, patient, unforgiving. This house held memories in every corner. They had built it together, chosen every detail. Every nail and board still carried the echo of his laughter, his voice, his presence. And one afternoon, standing alone in the living room, sunlight spilling through the window, dust floating like tiny ghosts, the idea appeared. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a whisper. A dog. She said it aloud, testing the sound of the words. A companion. She had never been an animal person. That had always been Noah. He loved dogs. Talked to them like people. Believed they understood more than they let on. But the loneliness had grown unbearable. Maybe a dog wouldn't fix anything. Maybe it wouldn't heal the wound. But perhaps it could dull the pain. The animal shelter smelled like disinfectant and hope. Rows of cages lined the walls, each holding a pair of eyes that seemed to plead without making a sound. Tails wagged. Paws scratched against metal. Whimpers echoed softly through the room. Olivia walked slowly, unsure of what she was looking for. Or if she was ready at all. She visited more than once. Left empty-handed more than once. Each dog seemed to ask something of her she wasn't sure she could give. Then she saw Milo. He wasn't impressive. No glossy coat. No perfectly trained posture. No dramatic enthusiasm. His fur was shaggy and uneven, as though it had never quite learned how to behave. His body was lean but strong, his posture calm. His eyes, deep, observant, unsettlingly intelligent, followed her movements with quiet focus. He didn't bark. He didn't jump. He simply watched. When Olivia stopped in front of his cage, Milo tilted his head slightly, as if evaluating her, measuring her. And then slowly, deliberately, he stepped forward and pressed his nose gently against the metal bars. No sound. Just presence. Something inside her shifted. Without thinking, she knelt down and reached out. His nose brushed her fingers, warm, real grounding. That afternoon, Milo came home with her. The house changed the moment Milo stepped inside. His paws scraped softly against the floor as he explored. He sniffed corners, inspected furniture, paused at doorways as if memorizing the layout. Olivia followed behind him, heart racing with a strange mix of excitement and fear. This was new, unfamiliar, alive. That night, she let him sleep beside her. She expected discomfort, restlessness, regret. Instead, Milo curled up against her side, his head resting gently near her ribs. His breathing was slow, steady, like a lullaby. For the first time in months, Olivia's body relaxed. She slept. Not deeply, not perfectly, but she slept. And when she woke, the ache felt quieter. Weeks passed. Milo became more than just a pet. He was there when mornings felt unbearable. There when silence threatened to suffocate her. There when memories resurfaced without warning. She talked to him constantly. About her day. About Noah. About things she had never said out loud before. Milo listened. Watched her. Stayed. Sometimes, as she sat reading or watching television, she would catch him staring at her, eyes unwavering, as though she were the center of his universe. There were moments when she wondered if Noah was somehow watching, if this dog had been sent to her. One evening, glass of wine in hand, she looked down at Milo and whispered, "I don't know what I'd do without you." His tail thumped once. Then he went still, and for a brief, impossible second, it felt like understanding passed between them. It began as a thought she refused to entertain. A ridiculous idea. A product of grief. But it returned again and again. Sometimes late at night, half asleep, she would whisper Noah's name, and feel Milo press closer. Too close. Too intentional. She told herself it meant nothing. Yet the feeling lingered. What if love didn't disappear? What if it changed shape? The change was subtle. Milo began insisting on being near her, always. His gaze followed her relentlessly. Doors left open no longer stayed that way. He pushed them wider, watched from thresholds. His loyalty felt intense, comforting at first, then unsettling. She noticed small things. How he seemed to anticipate her movements. How he reacted to memories before she spoke them aloud. How his presence filled the exact space Noah once occupied. Still, she told herself, he's just a dog. And that's where I'll pause for now. Because what happens next is not about companionship. It's about dependence. About identity. About the thin, dangerous line between healing and replacement. And about the question that refuses to be answered. When someone leaves, do they ever truly leave? At first, Olivia tried to ignore it. The way Milo never left her side, not even for a moment. The way his eyes followed her with unwavering intensity, even when she moved from room to room. The way he seemed to know when she was about to stand, speak, or cry. It was easy to explain away. Dogs were loyal, after all. Dogs bonded deeply. Dogs sensed emotion. That's what she told herself. But late at night, when the house settled into stillness, those explanations felt thin. Milo no longer slept beside her. He slept against her. Pressed close. Perfectly aligned. As if fitting into a space already shaped for him. Sometimes she woke suddenly, heart racing, convinced she had felt an arm around her, only to realize it was Milo's warmth, solid and real, grounding her back into reality. And yet, the dreams had begun. They were vivid. Too vivid. In her dreams, Noah stood in the hallway, just as he used to, hands in his pockets, that familiar half-smile playing on his lips. He never spoke. He simply watched her. And behind him, always in shadow, was Milo. Sometimes the dream shifted. Sometimes Noah would fade, slowly dissolving like mist, while Milo stepped forward, larger, closer, his eyes glowing with something that felt disturbingly familiar. When Olivia woke, Milo was always there. Watching. Waiting. Her therapist suggested stress. Unresolved grief. Emotional transference. Logical explanations. But logic didn't explain the way Milo reacted when she said Noah's name aloud. The first time it happened, she froze. She had been standing in the kitchen, staring at the sink, lost in memory. "I miss you, Noah," she whispered. Behind her, Milo stiffened. Not startled. Not confused. Aware. Slowly, he stood and walked toward her. Not hurried, not hesitant, until his body pressed gently against the back of her legs. Her breath caught. That night, she didn't sleep. The house felt different now. Heavier. Not with grief, but with presence. Doors creaked at night. Floorboards groaned where no one stood. Sometimes, Olivia swore she heard breathing that wasn't hers, or Milo's. She began leaving lights on. Milo didn't like that. When she turned on lamps, he would sit and stare at them until she turned them off again. When she ignored him, he whined softly, not like a dog in distress, but like someone disappointed. The photographs bothered her most. The framed picture of her and Noah on the mantel, taken on their anniversary, had fallen one morning. The glass hadn't shattered. It had been placed face down. She told herself it was coincidence. But that night, Milo sat in front of the mantel, unmoving, his back to her, guarding it. The truth arrived quietly, not as fear, not as panic, but as clarity. It happened when Olivia found Milo lying on Noah's side of the bed, their side. The side he always slept on. The side that had remained untouched for 2 years. She stood frozen in the doorway. Milo lifted his head and looked at her. And for the first time since she had adopted him, his gaze did not feel like a dog's. It felt familiar. Painfully so. Her chest tightened. "Noah," she whispered, barely audible. Milo didn't move. But his tail didn't wag either. Instead, he blinked slowly once. The way Noah used to when he was thinking. The room seemed to tilt. "No," she said, shaking her head. "You're just a dog." But the words lacked conviction. Memory flooded her mind. The way Milo knew her routines. The way he reacted to her thoughts before she spoke. The way he filled the silence too perfectly. She hadn't adopted a companion. She had invited something else inside. Olivia returned to the shelter. The same clerk recognized her. "How's Milo doing?" the woman asked casually. Olivia hesitated. Did you know his history?" The clerk frowned. "History?" "Yes. Where he came from. How long he'd been here." The woman's expression shifted. "Milo," she repeated slowly. "Are you sure that's the dog you adopted?" "Yes." The clerk pulled up the records. "There's no dog by that name in our system." Olivia felt cold creep up her spine. "That's impossible." The clerk scrolled further, brow furrowing. "We did have a mixed breed come in briefly. No name. No chip. No history." "How long was he here?" The clerk hesitated. "One night." Olivia swallowed. "And before that?" The woman shook her head. "He just appeared." That night, Olivia sat on the edge of the bed. Milo sat in front of her. The air felt thick, charged, electric. "Why are you here?" she asked softly. Milo didn't move. "You're not supposed to be here," she continued, voice trembling. "You were supposed to let me go." At the sound of her cracking voice, Milo stepped forward and rested his head against her knees. The gesture was familiar. Too familiar. Tears streamed down her face. "I loved you," she whispered. "But you're gone." Milo whined softly. Then slowly he backed away. For the first time, he didn't follow her when she stood. He lay down instead, curling into himself, smaller than she had ever seen him. Almost fading. The morning light felt different. Warm. Gentle. Milo didn't greet her at the door. He didn't follow her to the kitchen. She found him lying in the living room, beneath the window where sunlight poured in. Peaceful. Still. No breath rose from his chest. No warmth lingered beneath her touch. Just fur. Just a body. Just a dog. And yet, on the coffee table sat something that hadn't been there before. Noah's watch. The one she thought she'd lost forever. The house is quiet again. But it's a different kind of quiet now. Not empty. Not suffocating. Just still. Olivia opens the windows each morning. She lets the light in. She lets the air move. She keeps the memories, but no longer lives inside them. Sometimes, when the wind brushes past her, she feels warmth. Not pressing. Not clinging. Just passing through. And for the first time in years, she smiles. Because love didn't stay. And that's okay. Some things are meant to visit, not remain. If this story moved you, if it made you question grief, love, and letting go, subscribe to the channel. More stories are waiting, and some of them might feel closer than you expect.